got involved in Christian ministry kind of as a second idea or a second calling or a second vision for my life. I went to college thinking I was going to go into medicine. And within about a year and a half of taking all those science classes, just was not interested in that at all. At that same time in college, I was becoming more and more involved in some Christian ministries on campus. I think that God kind of lined up the circumstances of my life all the way back in college to kind of set the table for me to be involved in Christian ministry, although I would have never imagined back then it would be to the depth or the breadth of what I'm doing right now. Yeah, so I started with the Life Project in 2013. Today it's called Power to Change Digital Strategies. Power to Change is the Canadian arm of Campus Crusade for Christ. We do online mentoring, so we put online content by the way of articles or videos or different online content, and we set it up so that people who are struggling with things in their life or searching answers to life's questions will come across our content, and as they view that content, they're given the opportunity to connect anonymously with a volunteer Christian mentor online. And those Christian mentors are trained to engage with those mentees and encourage them, listen to them, share Christ with them, point them to Scripture, those kinds of things. The Cedar Falls Bible Conference is coming up on its 99th annual conference. Started way back in 1922, and I grew up as a young boy going with my parents to the Bible Conference and was exposed to all this great stuff. It's one of the places where I learned to really love great preaching because they bring in all these world-class preachers. And as Providence would have it, just a couple of years ago, I took over as the director. One of my goals was to kind of expanding it so that we can draw the next generations of people to the Cedar Falls Bible Conference so they can benefit from it the way that I have for generations to come. And we're just real optimistic about how that's been going, excited about it. So Christian Crusaders is another old ministry that I've just been recently involved with. Christian Crusaders is 84 years old, and it's actually, I've been told, the second longest enduring radio preaching ministry in the country. And I just recently became the director of Christian Crusaders in addition to the other ministries that I'm involved with. So we're going to launch some podcasts. Right now those podcasts are going to be a series of interviews that I have with people who I know or contacts that I have through different networks, so we can have interviews with people who've got great stories about how they're walking with God, how they're being used in the world to do great things. The CC podcast, we think, will draw in kind of a newer audience, an audience that's going to go to a podcast before it goes to a radio station, an audience that might be a little bit younger, just by virtue of me being a little bit younger than the current preachers that we have on the radio. And of course, we want to have our cake and eat it too. So we want to keep the folks who've been around forever listening on the radio, but we want to bring in a new group of folks who are going to listen and be impacted in a different way. I think if anybody watches me or follows me around, you're going to see kind of a blithering idiot a lot. You're going to see someone who doesn't know what he's doing, somebody who certainly isn't nearly as impressive as some video like this might, lead you to believe or not. I don't know what people think. But I think that the one thing, despite all the flaws and despite all the gaps in my life, I think that you'd have a hard time walking away from me not being convinced that I am who I say I am and I believe what I say I believe. And that's really what motivates not just the jobs that I have, the career that I have, but who I am.